Have you ever done everything right, or at least everything you thought was right, and still felt her pull away? You were present. You were kind. You tried. And somehow that wasn't enough. Maybe it happened in the bedroom. Maybe it started before you even got there. She seemed distant, less engaged, like something was missing and you had no idea what it was. That feeling, that quiet, hollow confusion, is one of the worst things a man can carry. I'm going to tell you exactly what that missing thing is. And I'll warn you now, the final move on this list is incredibly powerful. It can change everything fast and almost no one uses it correctly. Stay with me. I'm your host, and this is The Gentle Mind, where we uncover the real psychology that creates desire. Not the surface level stuff, not the performance advice, but the deep, wiring level truths that most men never get taught. Let's start with something honest. You were never shown this. Nobody sat you down and said, here is how a woman's desire actually works. Here is what she's scanning for before she even consciously knows she wants you. That conversation didn't happen at school. It didn't happen at home. What you got instead were movies, mixed messages, and the quiet pressure to just figure it out. So you did your best. And your best was reasonable, thoughtful even. But desire doesn't always reward reasonableness. It rewards something else, something deeper and older. And the moment you understand what that is, everything changes. This was never your fault. Nobody taught you this. So before we get into the 5 moves and the 2 that quietly destroy attraction, let's lay a foundation. Because if you don't understand why these things work, they'll feel like tricks. And these are not tricks. These are real psychological tools rooted in how the brain actually processes attraction. Here's the science in plain language. Female attraction is not primarily visual the way male attraction often is. It's sequential and emotional. A woman's brain is constantly running a background scan, not consciously, but neurologically. It's asking questions like, is this man grounded in himself? Does he have purpose beyond me? Does he feel safe but also slightly unpredictable? Is he fully present or performing? These aren't questions she's asking out loud. They're questions her nervous system is asking on her behalf. Evolutionary psychology tells us that women developed this deep pattern recognition over thousands of years because the stakes of choosing a partner were extraordinarily high. Her brain learned to read subtle signals, energy, presence, consistency, confidence under pressure, because those signals predicted whether a man would protect, provide, and stay. That wiring hasn't disappeared. It's still running. And here's what that means for you. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to look a certain way or earn a certain amount. You need to send the right signals, unconsciously, authentically, repeatedly. Once you understand the signals, you stop chasing and you start becoming. And that shift from chaser to someone worth winning over is where everything begins to turn. So, let's talk about the first move. The first one is masculine presence. And I want you to hear this carefully because most men completely misunderstand it. Presence has nothing to do with looks, nothing to do with height or muscle or how expensive your watch is. Presence is grounded energy. It's the feeling a woman gets when she's near a man who is fully inside his own body, fully inside the moment, and not leaking anxiety in every direction. When you're in the bedroom or anywhere near a woman you're attracted to, and you're in your head, worried about performance, monitoring her reactions, calculating your next move, she feels that. Not as a thought, as a physical sensation, a kind of restlessness, a low-level unease, and her desire quietly steps back. presence is the opposite of that. It's the deep breath before you speak, the unhurried movement, the ability to sit in silence and not need to fill it. It's looking at her like you're actually there, not like you're watching yourself look at her. Try this. The next time you're with her, slow everything down by 20%. Your speech, your movements, your reactions. Not because it's a technique, because you've decided to actually be there. You'll feel her lean in, energetically first, then physically. Grounded men don't rush. Rushing is the enemy of desire. The second move is emotional challenge. Now, this one gets misread all the time. Emotional challenge does not mean being cold, withholding, or playing games. It means creating polarity. It means she never quite has all of you mapped out, and that uncertainty keeps her brain engaged and curious. Here's the reality. When a woman can predict your every reaction, when you agree with everything she says, when you're endlessly available and infinitely eager, her nervous system stops scanning. There's no puzzle to solve, no tension to sit in, and desire needs a little tension. Not the bad kind, not conflict or insecurity, the good kind, the kind that comes from a man who has opinions, who gently pushes back, who surprises her. Playfully disagree with her about something low stakes. Tell her she's wrong about a movie, then laugh about it. Tease her the way you'd tease someone you genuinely like. Not to wound, to connect. Let her see that you don't need her approval for every single thing you say. That independence, that sense that you exist fully outside of her, is magnetic. She doesn't want a mirror. She wants someone to bump into. Move 3, selective attention. This one is about scarcity, not cruelty, but genuine fullness. When your attention is something she has to earn a little, it becomes valuable. When it's always fully available, always instantly there, it loses weight. Think about it this way. You value things you had to wait for, work toward, or occasionally miss. Her brain works the same way around your attention. This isn't about ignoring her or manufacturing distance. This is about actually having a life, a purpose, friends, goals, interests that have nothing to do with her. When she knows you exist richly outside of her, your moments together carry more meaning. She thinks about you between them. Have things you care about that don't include her. Then bring your full self to the moments that do. Your attention is a gift. Don't give gifts away to people who haven't opened the door. If this is making sense so far, hit subscribe and join the Gentle Mind community. It helps more men learn what they were never taught. And we're just getting to the good part. Move 4 is intentional listening. And I need you to understand that this goes far beyond being a good listener in the traditional sense. Most men hear a woman speak and process the content, the facts, what she said. Intentional listening is different. It's about remembering the emotional texture of a conversation and bringing it back later without being asked. She mentions once casually that she's been stressed about a call with her mother. 3 days later, you say, "Hey, how did that thing with your mom end up going?" That moment, that small, quiet act of memory lands like nothing else. Because what it tells her on a deep neurological level is that she is seen. Not just heard, seen. And being seen is one of the most powerful emotional experiences a human being can have. You don't need to remember everything. You don't need to take notes. You just need to be present enough in the original moment that the small things stick. When she feels truly seen by you, the connection between you deepens in a way that no physical move can replicate on its own. Women don't fall for the man who listens. They fall for the man who remembers. The 5th move is calibrated vulnerability. And this one requires some courage, so stay with me. There is a version of vulnerability that repels, and a version that deepens attraction almost immediately. The repelling version is unloading your pain, seeking emotional rescue, leaning on her for stability you haven't built in yourself. It signals instability. And her nervous system, running that ancient background scan, reads it as a warning. The attracting version is different. It's controlled. It's selective. It's you choosing from a place of strength to share something real, something that shows you're a human being with depth, with history, with things you've worked through. Not to get sympathy, just to be honest. I went through a period a few years back where I really had to rebuild myself. It was hard, but I came out the other side with a lot more clarity. That's calibrated vulnerability. It says, I've been tested, I've been honest about it, and I'm still standing. That combination of realness and resilience is extraordinarily attractive. You don't have to be invulnerable. You just have to be the one who's already carried the weight. Now we're getting into the physical, and this is where a lot of men either rush or disappear entirely. Move 6 is gradual physical touch, and the science here is worth understanding because it changes how you approach this completely. Oxytocin, the bonding hormone, is released through touch, but not just any touch. Gradual, respectful, attentive touch. The kind that reads her response before escalating. A hand on the lower back. A deliberate pause before touching again. Letting her know through your physicality that you are paying attention to her, not just moving toward a destination. When you slow touch down and make each moment of it intentional, her brain begins associating you with safety and desire at the same time. That combination is rare, and it's deeply, deeply powerful. Don't rush to the finish line. The journey is what she'll remember and replay. Slow touch sends a message that no word can. I'm not in a hurry, because you're worth taking time with. And now, the 7th move. The one I warned you about at the beginning. The one almost no one uses correctly. Controlled unpredictability. This is the dopamine trigger, and understanding dopamine changes everything. Dopamine, the brain's reward and motivation chemicals, is not released when we get something we expected. It spikes when we get something we didn't quite predict. Variable rewards, intermittent reinforcement. This is why slot machines are addictive. This is why that one friend who texts sometimes, but not always, is the one you think about most. Not because they're playing games, but because their attention isn't fully mapped. Controlled unpredictability means you don't always respond the same way. Not out of manipulation, but because you're genuinely multidimensional. Some nights you're warm and playful. Some nights you're quiet and thoughtful. Sometimes you suggest something completely unexpected. Sometimes you end a great evening at a moment she wanted it to continue. Not to punish her, just because you're a man with his own inner rhythm. The key word is controlled. This isn't chaos. You're not creating anxiety. You're creating the kind of pleasant, curious uncertainty that keeps her mind returning to you between moments. She finds herself wondering what version of you she'll see next. Not with dread, but with anticipation. Be consistent in character, be variable in expression. That combination wires deep attraction. Now, the 2 moves that quietly kill everything. The first one is performing instead of being. When you're in an intimate space with a woman and your attention is split, half on her, half on what she's thinking of you, she loses you. Not because she's demanding, but because human beings can feel when someone is with them versus watching themselves be with them. Performance anxiety collapses presence. And presence, as we talked about, is the foundation everything else is built on. When you're performing, she's not with you. She's with the version of you that's trying to impress her. And that version, however polished, lacks the thing she actually wants, which is you. Fully real, fully there. Release the performance. You don't need to be good at this. You need to be present in this. That's a completely different thing. The second move to avoid, and this one is subtle, is seeking constant validation during intimacy. Repeatedly asking, is that okay? Do you like this? Are you enjoying it? Over and over pulls her out of her body and into her head. It also subtly signals that you need her to manage your confidence for you. And that transfer of emotional labor, making her responsible for your reassurance, breaks the dynamic that attraction requires. There's a difference between genuine attentiveness and anxious reassurance seeking. Attentiveness watches her response and adjusts. Reassurance seeking asks her to narrate her pleasure so you can feel okay. She can feel the difference. And one of them quietly closes her down while the other deepens trust. Read her, don't audit her. There's no grade at the end of this. So here's where we are. You now have a map. Not a list of tricks, not a performance script. A genuine understanding of what female desire is actually responding to. Presence, polarity, scarcity of attention, emotional memory, calibrated honesty, slow, deliberate touch, and the dopamine-rich charge of being someone she can't entirely predict. These aren't things you layer on top of who you are. They're things that emerge when you start becoming more fully yourself. More grounded, more purposeful, more present. Less anxious about the outcome and more absorbed in the moment. That shift, that internal shift, is what she's scanning for. And when she finds it, she doesn't want to look away. You don't need perfection. You need strategy. And strategy, once understood, becomes instinct. The man who walked in to read this and the man finishing it right now are not the same. Something has shifted. Maybe quietly. Maybe in a way you can't fully name yet. But the understanding is in you now, and understanding changes behavior, and changed behavior changes outcomes. This was never about manipulation. It was never about tricking anyone into anything. Real attraction isn't manufactured. It's revealed. And what you've learned today is how to stop hiding the parts of you that actually create it. The groundedness, the depth, the patience, the realness. These were always there. You just didn't know they were what she was looking for. You're not broken. You were untaught. And now you know. If you're ready to stop chasing and start becoming the man women genuinely desire, subscribe to The Gentle Mind now. Turn on notifications because the next one will shift your reality again.